Former National Security Advisor of the United States, Ambassador Mr. John Bolton. Thanks for joining us today.
Glad to be with you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. So my first question would be, we see that Turkey wants to be an influential power in the Middle East. Its relations with the Hamas and its cooperation with jihadist organizations, including the Damascus government, are known very well. The same is true in Cyprus as well. It occupies half of the island. Turkey's plans and relationships worries Israel as well. What is your assessment of Turkey's policies?
Well, I think under President Erdogan, the Turks have clearly been pursuing a policy to expand their influence across the region. It's been described by some as a neo-Ottomanist policy, trying to recreate the Ottoman Empire. And it's been heavily tinged with support for radical Islamist groups. I don't think there's any question about it. I think the most recent example is obviously the support for the al-Nusra Front, as it was formerly known in the overthrow of the Assad regime. But in the efforts they've made against Kurdish people within Turkey and elsewhere, and the support that they've given to Hamas. So I'm quite worried about the activism that we've seen from Ankara, especially after the attacks on Iran by Israel and the United States, that Erdogan may see an opportunity that he took advantage of and overthrew Assad. He may see other opportunities as well. So I think it's a very potentially dangerous time from that perspective.
Thank you so much. Secondly, Turkey's Syria policies are based on hostility towards Kurds and support for jihadist organizations. Yet, the Kurds are organizing themselves in their own region using a democratic model. Does Turkey want a democratic Syria, or one that the Kurds are not in control mechanism in Syria? How do you see that?
Well, I think ultimately what Erdogan wants is domination in Syria. He can do it through proxies like al-Shura. He can do it in other ways, including direct Turkish military intervention, which we have been trying to avoid in the past. It's clear that for his own domestic political reasons, Erdogan has tried to give the impression that he's not pursuing an anti-Kurdish policy in Turkey. But I think it's in his interest not to allow the Syrian Democratic Forces, General Mazloum, and the others who worked with the United States in the fight against ISIS to maintain any real autonomy. I think it's a very dangerous moment for the Kurds in Syria, both because of the direct pressure from across the Turkish border, and because we still cannot have confidence that al-Shura, despite what he says publicly, including in his recent trip to Washington, is really serious about that, or whether he still maintains his terrorist roots. I just don't think we have enough information to draw a conclusion yet.
Thank you so much. We will come to the point that you underlined about the General Mazlum Abidi and the SDF as well. But just before that, very quickly, US and Syria relations also appear to be evolving into a new realm. So al-Shara was hosted at the White House and spoke with Trump. However, Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan, a former intelligence officer, that's important as well, was also there at the same time. What are we supposed to understand from that? What is your assessment of the Turkish Foreign Minister being included in this dialogue while the Syrian and the US presidents are talking?
Well, we don't know the details, but I think if you just look at the recent history, I don't think al-Shura and his supporters could have taken power in Damascus without significant Turkish help. I think that was really what propelled the assault on the Assad regime was the assistance they had received. And I think obviously Turkey is using that as influence. In a sense, I think there's a contest going on between Turkey on one side and some of the Arab states on the Arabian Peninsula on the other, as to who's going to have the most influence in the post-Assad affairs in Syria, and they're both trying to get Donald Trump's attention, and it's not clear if he fully understands really what's at stake here.
Thank you. So, as I mentioned just earlier about the Muslim up there, what kind of Middle East does the US want? What is the relations with the SDF and Muslim up there? What role does the US envision for the Kurds? How does it view its relations with the SDF? Very shortly, Kebbi.
Well, I think within the Trump administration, we don't really know a clear answer to that question. I think the military regards General Mazloum very highly for the work that he and the SDF were able to undertake against ISIS. I think there's great concern for many people in Washington that ISIS could have a resurgence, maybe not in terms of territorial control, as they did at one point, but nonetheless as a terrorist force. And the people who understand the contributions that Kurds made in eventually ending the ISIS territorial caliphate want to make sure that they're protected, whether in Syria or in Iraq or in Turkey itself. But it's not at all clear that from my own experience with Trump in the first term, that he understands how complicated this question is, or whether he fully appreciates everything that the Kurds have done to protect us and our friends against this radical terrorism that came from ISIS.
Thank you so much. This is the most important point of the interview, exactly because all the problems that we're talking about in the Middle East is connected with the Turkey and Kurdish conflict as well. So, what are your thoughts on the about the Kurdish leader Öcalan, as he dissolved his organization, decided to end the armed struggle, and the organization did what they need to do. Now he's trying to create a climate of peace through negotiations. Do you think this new situation will affect the US policies toward the Kurdish issue and Öcalan as well? And what do you think about this peace process? Do you support this peace process? Do you support the Turkey to be more democratized and at least lie down the arms and finish the war with the Kurds? How do you see all these?
Well, I think it would certainly be to everybody's advantage to end the conflict and to allow uh, Kurdish citizens of Turkey to participate fully in Turkish politics. From what it appears on the outside, however, is that Erdogan knows that he's in political trouble domestically. There's very substantial opposition. He's tried to put the opposition leaders in jail and on trial. And it is said that he's trying to reduce tensions with the Kurds so that he can make them, in effect, allies in his own domestic political struggles. I'm not Erdogan's biggest fan. I'm not sure how far he can be trusted. I thought for some time there should be an independent Kurdish state. It's something that had it been created long ago, the Middle East might have been a much more peaceful region. I don't know what's possible now, but I'm very skeptical whenever Erdogan attempts to conciliate, because I'm sure he has a hidden agenda.
Thank you so much. Very shortly, very briefly, as a last question, what do you think about the Öcalan's call for peace and democracy and his actions about laying down the arms? How does it sound from outside? Do you think it's peaceful?
Well, I'm very skeptical of it. Obviously, the Turkish military is not going to lay down their arms. And although we viewed the PKK in Washington as a terrorist group for some time, the real issue is whether Kurds will get equal treatment as full citizens of Turkey under whatever their political banner is. And that's not something that Erdogan has ever really shown much interest in. So I hope for a peaceful outcome, but I have to say I'm skeptical.
Thank you so much, former National Security Advisor of the United States, Ambassador Mr. John Bolton. Thanks for joining us. Thank you for your valuable comments. It's been an honor.
Well, thank you very much. Enjoyed being with you.